Hello, everybody. Welcome inside the fish tank for our Week 6 preview. I am your co-host, Nick Fasella, alongside a regular co-host on the show, Andrew Sferator, and our special guest, his second appearance, our number one fan, Vincent Gagliardo. Gags, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Better than last night. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right, and the counterpart to what I know you're going to talk about is Andrew Sferator. Andrew, how are you doing?
I am tremendous today, Fish. And let me tell you why I'm tremendous. This is because I'm coming off of the greatest fantasy win I ever have had and I ever will have. And this came on a play that was very, very, very
Wrong by the refs.
I guess that's one way to put it, but for many other people, it was a game-saving play. If you don't know what we're talking about the Ryan Tannehill touchdown with approximately 3 minutes to go in a game that meant absolutely nothing. It was already a 30-point game, and the Buffalo Bills kick returner fumbled on their own 15-yard line, which set this up. And Ryan Tannehill, on I believe it was third down, play action pass to Derrick Henry, throws it in the end zone for Jonnu Smith. And people think that he was in front of the line of scrimmage, but I'm here to tell you he was not in front of the line of scrimmage. As
You're a clown.
Decisive.
You're
They
a clown. You're a clown.
There was no evidence to overturn it. Therefore, it is a touchdown and it is a victory.
Well, guess what? I'll tell you the evidence. Gag, show that picture. Ryan Tannehill was at least one full yard. He was at least one full yard past the line of scrimmage. And I'm not here to pour cold water on your victory, Sferator. It was a brilliant fantasy victory, but if the refs had any guts, first of all, and if they even cared about the game, they probably didn't care about the game because it was, as you said, a 30-point game at that point. If they cared, they would have taken at least more than 2 seconds to actually look at the play, get a good angle. By the way, that's a whole story. How do they not have a good angle? That's ridiculous.
This is the NFL. This is the NFL. This is $1 million a company.
Yeah,
they don't have
more than
the
millions,
yeah, well,
billions,
guess what?
billions.
What makes you guys think you know more than the NFL does? I don't think that's right. Obviously, you can look back on it and say, oh, they may have made the wrong call, but they didn't.
They did. I mean, they did. Gag showed the picture right there. I mean, there is
There's
photo
the
evidence.
proof.
I just told you they called it a touchdown on the field, and there wasn't enough evidence to overturn it. In order for a call
Yes,
to be
there was. Yes, he was 2 yards in front of the line of scrimmage. Yes, there was.
I don't think your opinion differs from means more than the NFL people that are actually in charge of making the correct call, which they did in fact make here.
It doesn't. Well, just because our opinion doesn't weigh that much, considering the NFL, doesn't mean that everything the NFL does is completely right all the time. And this isn't the NFL. The NFL didn't have control over this. It was the refs. The refs in that spot, they continue to drop the ball with this stupid, idiotic, moronic replay system where they just completely screw it up every single time. And if I were Gags, I would be just furious. I would have been throwing things last night. I would have thrown the TV out the window. I mean, this is one of the worst losses I've ever seen in my life somebody have.
Okay.
So let's have a flashback to 2 years ago.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let's explain my fantasy weekend. Okay? Sunday, Dak Prescott, my starting quarterback, catches a touchdown. I'm all happy. I'm like, yeah. Then moron decides to not slide and absolutely destroys his ankle. He's done for the season. That was already a heart crusher. Here comes Tuesday night. I'm starting John. The game's supposed to play on Sunday. John Brown was questionable. I think with the extra 2 days, you should be okay. Right?
You would think so.
Doesn't play. So one of my players put up a 0. And this game was still close. That proves how bad Sferator is.
Whoa. Hold on here.
I am talking no, Sferator.
Let Gax finish.
I have Derrick Henry. He has Ryan Tannehill. I am up by 10. No one expects Ryan Tannehill to put up 30 points. Ryan Tannehill is having a great game. But okay. Derrick Henry scores that final touchdown. We're on the group chat. We're like, yes, I won. Walsh goes, welcome to the 4-1 club. Because, everyone expects at that time, I won the game.
Even me.
This moron of an all-pro kick returner. I don't even know his name. Fish, you know his name, right?
Andre Roberts.
Andre Roberts, a Pro Bowl,
He's an all-pro returner.
A really good returner.
All-pro returner fumbles on the 15-yard line. I'm like, okay, they're gonna pound the ball with Henry. It's all good. Like, I don't got nothing to worry about. First, they bring in the backup running back, right?
Like Nichols.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. They go to 4th and 1. This gutless puke, Mike Variable, decides to rub it in the Bills' face and go, we're gonna go for it on 4th and 1. Goes and gets it on 4th and 1. Which is even because you're rubbing in the bit like there was no tension between the two teams, right? There was no bad blood, no dirty hits, nothing. It was a clean game.
I mean, besides Josh Norman getting absolutely destroyed by Derrick Henry.
Yeah, but I mean, no bad blood.
It's inexplicable from Mike Vrabel. What was he afraid that the Bills were going to march down the field like 5 times to tie the game with 2 minutes left?
He wanted to ice the game.
Kick a field goal? What's
the difference if he kicks a field goal if he doesn't get it on 4th and 1? They already won.
There is no difference to kick a field goal.
You would be in such a different position if you didn't win by 4 points.
Absolutely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. He's only saying all this stuff. He's a fraud. Well, he's only saying all this stuff because he won.
Obviously, anyone would do that. If you were in my position, you would be saying the same stuff.
No. I would have the guts to actually admit the truth.
What's the truth? That everything went right for me?
That Ryan Tannehill was past the line of scrimmage. That Mike Variable should not have gone for on 4th and 1. Both of those things are actual facts. Facts.
Coming into that game, I had no intention of winning. In fact, I didn't even care about fantasy anymore. I just wanted to watch the game for fun. But I looked at the fantasy app to see what was going on, and I saw I was only projected to lose by 3 points at the beginning of the game. So I was like, I actually have a chance to win. So towards the end of the game, everything had to go right for me. And guess what? Everything did go right for me. So I guess you can consider that luck, but what are you going to say against luck?
Okay. Listen. So they get on 4th and 1, right? They go all the way to 3rd down. I'm thinking like, okay, like I was thinking even when they got the ball, there's no way they risk passing it because it can, God forbid, be a pick 6. There's no way they will risk passing it. So they run it again all the way till 3rd down. They do a play action with Ryan Tannehill, and first off, it was a terrible play by the defense of the Bills. Terrible. Faked the whole team out. And then to say that throw was a touchdown to Jonnu Smith was absolutely a terrible call. And I should be 4-1 in our fantasy league, and you should be 2-3.
Strong words from
guess
Vincent Gagliardo.
We're sitting here on the Wednesday after the game, and I'm 3-2, and you're also 3-2. So looks like it doesn't matter what you think.
Nobody's saying it does matter. Nobody's saying that what we say right now is going to change the record. We are saying what it should have been. And this man right here, Vincent Gagliardo, has every right. For every fiber in his bones and body to be absolutely pissed off at what happened last night.
Guys, I would like to show you a video of what my emotions were last night.
Ear rape warning. Turn down the volume. This was followed by numerous videos of him crying. So,
and then, yeah, XXX and Tasha are in the background. Like, I wasn't actually crying, but like, you know. And then,
all right.
Wait, I'm talking about my fantasy weekend. Today,
Still.
I'm a Melvin Gordon owner.
Oh.
Guy gets pulled over doing what, 60, 70?
He was doing 75. He was doing 75 in a 35 zone.
75 and 35 zone, high or drunk or whatever he was.
I believe it was a DUI. So he was under the influence.
Of something.
Alcohol.
What? Melvin Gordon, you are a moron. A moron. You get paid. How much is his contract?
16,
Yeah.
$16 million.
He's getting paid to show up and be the starting running back for the Denver Broncos. We'll put it that way.
And he likes to go 75 at 2 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, drunk or high, whatever he was. Terrible fantasy weekend for me. I should be 4-1.
Strong words from Vincent Gagliardo. So this is the fish tank. This is the place we like to air all of our grievances. We do nothing but truth-telling here on the fish tank. So I thank you, Gags and Sparator, for that.
I should be 4-1.
And with that said, we move on to our Week 6 preview, and we start off with our love and hate. Andrew Sparator, why don't you get us started? Give us your first love.
All right. I will do just that. And my first love is going to be one of the most favorite players in the NFL for a lot of fans. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick, a.k.a. Fitzmagic, quarterback of the Miami.
Magic!
Repug.
Now listen here. This is a guy who scored 20 points in 4 out of 5 games. And the one game he didn't, it was against the New England Patriots. So for argument's sake, let's just get rid of that game entirely because he's not going to be playing the Patriots this week. He has 3 300-yard passing games and three games with multiple passing touchdowns, including 2 rushing touchdowns. And guess what? He plays the New York high school football team Jets this week. And that is just music to everyone's ears. Playing the New York Jets, you immediately plug that player into your lineup, and you know he's going to perform.
All right. Thank you for that, Andrew. Gags, just a wait a second. Just a little look at. We will have more on Ryan Fitzpatrick later in the show. Gags, who is your first love?
My first love is Jared Goff, quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams. So his last 3 games, he put up 27 against Buffalo, who's a pretty good defense. 11 against the Giants. I mean, not his best showing. And Washington, he put up 24. Hold on, I just gotta check who Goff is playing this week.
He's getting the Niners on Sunday Night Football.
Oh yeah, the Niners on Sunday. Niners are all banged up. Is Richard Sherman playing?
No, he's on the IR. But
No Richard Sherman. That offense is just way too good, and they are going to shred up this dismantled 49ers defense.
yeah, I definitely agree with that because given Fitzmagic, he ripped the Niners to shreds.
Ripped is
last week.
Yeah.
That was
So there's no reason why Goff and the Rams can't do the same thing.
And this offense with an offensive-minded coach,
yeah,
it's gonna be
my first love of the week is Alexander Madison versus the Atlanta Falcons, who will be filling in for Dalvin Cook, who is expected to not play. The Vikings have a bye next week, so they're gonna sit Cook this week, I think, and let him heal for these next 2 weeks, so no further damage could be done to his groin. And there's nothing to hate about Madison. Everything to love about him. This week he gets the Falcons, who are the 26th team against the run, so that's a great matchup. The Falcons are just terrible, and it seems like teams are up in the fourth quarter against them, so the Vikings should be running. Alexander Madison can do everything just about that Dalvin Cook can do, so it's really like you're plugging in Dalvin Cook this week too if you're starting Alexander Madison. Madison's going to be the pass catcher. He's going to be the workhorse for the Vikings. There's no reason why Madison shouldn't be a star and a top 10 running back this week.
I just want to say something about
The
Dalvin Cook.
Top 10.
Yeah, I agree
Top
with that
10.
too. I just want to say something about Dalvin Cook. Having Dalvin Cook on your fantasy team is one of the scariest experiences you can ever have. And because every single play he gets tackled, you're like, oh my God, please get up, please get up. And eventually one time he's not going to get up. And then your heart just stops because you know you lost a top 3 back when he's healthy. And it's just a really terrible experience. If you can avoid it, I would definitely avoid it at all costs.
You would say top 3?
Yeah, Dalvin Cook he's such an amazing talent, and it's just unfortunate because he's just one of those guys that never stays healthy. All right, Gags, who is your second love of the week?
My second love of the week is Myles Gaskin of the Miami Dolphins. I mean, look what Melvin Gordon did to the Jets, and look what it's just the Jets are just awful. High school football team. Myles Gaskin, he put up 20 against the Niners, and he put up 14 against Jacksonville, and he wasn't really at his he's the main back now in this offense. So I would say I'm gonna say that he goes off honestly against the Jets. It's a big game for them. They're gonna play hard because division matchup. So I think Myles Gaskin has a big game this week.
Philosophy seems pretty sound. Start everybody versus the Jets. All right, Andrew Starator.
New York High School football Jets.
Yep, Andrew Starator, give us your second love of the week.
My second love of the week is a guy that a lot of people had high hopes for last week, and he kind of disappointed. But I'm gonna pick him here again, and it's Justin Jefferson, the wide receiver on the Minnesota Vikings. Last week he played the Seattle Seahawks, and what was expected to be a shootout, and it was, but for some reason Jefferson just wasn't as involved. And this week he's playing the Atlanta Falcons, who, believe it or not, have a worse defense than the terrible Seattle Seahawks. So if he's not involved in this game, in what should be a really high-scoring game, I think both offenses are very competitive, then I don't know when else you can start him. So definitely plug Justin Jefferson into your lineup with high hopes.
Absolutely. The Vikings ran the ball, I think, 41 times against the Seahawks on Sunday night. So that might have played a factor in why Justin Jefferson wasn't a big part.
And,
all right.
And
go ahead.
Might have made a plus factor is that Adam Thielen went beast. He went beast. Oh, Thielen, my fault. But he went beast this game. In 9 catches, 2 touchdowns.
All right. My second love of the week is wide receiver of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Chris Godwin, who plays at home versus the Green Bay Packers this week. I think Aikman and Buck are going to have this game. It's a primetime game this Sunday. And when you look at Chris Godwin this year, it's been pretty frustrating up until this point. He hasn't really had that big game. And it's been mainly due to the fact that he's been hurt. I mean, he's been out for the past 2 weeks with a hamstring issue. He suffered back in, I think it was week 3. And in a spot where the Bucks last game, they looked like they were having trouble moving the ball against the Bears. And they just didn't have a lot of playmakers on offense. Rojo was nice, Pound was nice running the ball. Evans was mediocre. But I think Godwin will be the big boost that this offense needs. And Aaron Rodgers, who I think is right up there with Russell Wilson as the MVP of the league, he'll put up points, I think, in this game. I think it'll be a battle between, kind of like the old quarterbacks this week. And Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady should be able to put points up on the board. And I expect Godwin to be a big factor in that. So I'm on Chris Godwin this week as a big play.
Yeah, I think as long as Chris Godwin is healthy, he's a plug him, set him and forget him player as a wide receiver 1. He's just a lot of talent, and he's going to have a lot of opportunities with Tom Brady throwing him the ball.
Tom Brady loves them slot receivers, and that's right up Chris Godwin's alley.
All right, Gags, who is your third love of the week?
So in the last podcast I was in, I said if Julio sits, he will have a great game against the Vikings, and he is on my love list. Julio Jones, I feel like, is going to have a great game against the Vikings. Julio Jones is Julio Jones. Everyone is sleeping on him because, he had a bad game against Dallas, but he was hurt. Had a bad game against Green Bay, but re-aggravated his injury. He sat through this week, and he's a strong dude. And I feel like he goes off against this pretty bad Vikings secondary. And by the way, went off when he's healthy. He went in the one game we saw healthy from him, put 24.7. So he's just a beast. It's Julio Jones.
Yeah, this is a guy who's always got a question Q next to his name, and he always ends up playing. So to see him not play is means it was a very serious injury, but I do expect him to play this week, and I do expect him to be the old Julio Jones, or at least close to it.
Absolutely. All right, Andrew, who is your third love of the week?
My third love of the week might just be the most underappreciated wide receiver in the NFL right now. It's a player on a team that we've talked about as a high school team. It's Jameson Crowder of the Jets. In the 3 games he's played this season, he missed 2 games with an injury, but in the 3 games he's played, he's had at least 7 catches and 100 yards in all 3 of them. And that is just a crazy statistic. That's 17 points at least. And he's got a touchdown in 2 out of 3 of them too. So this guy's like, I don't know why nobody's talking about him. He's a great receiver, or a great fantasy receiver at least. He gets so much volume. He gets so much run after the catch. He gets touchdowns. He's just so underappreciated, and he needs his name to get out there.
I'm not the hugest fan of Jameson Crowder. I feel like him getting shadowed by the great corners of Miami and Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, I feel like he won't get the volume that he does usually.
All right, moving ahead to my third love of the week, it's quarterback Matt Ryan. And I know a lot of people might look at Matt Ryan's last 2 performances, and they were really, really bad. He only had, I think he was in the 10 to 13 point range against the Packers, and he only had, I think, like 6 points or 8 points against the who did they play last week?
They played Green Bay the week before, and they played.
I'll look it up. Just keep talking.
Yeah. So anyway, Matt Ryan, who has been very underwhelming his last 2 games. I've got him as a love this week, and I just think I don't know, when I look at fantasy football, I like to look and see where players are going to have their big bounce back games, because we know players usually, it's so up and down over the course of the year that you got to pick the right spots. And I just think this is a spot where Matt Ryan could blow up. The head coach was just fired, the GM was fired, and the owner, Arthur Blank, when talking, did not fully commit to Matt Ryan as the quarterback of the future, which I think could give Ryan a little extra motivation going into his matchup against the Vikings. The Vikings defense has been underwhelming this year. Their secondary has been getting torched this year. So I just think that especially if Julio Jones plays, this is a big blow-up spot for Matt Ryan, who I think still has something to prove.
Played the Carolina Panthers last week.
Yeah, that's right. All right, moving ahead to our hate section. Gags, who's your first hate?
My first hate is Miles Sanders of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's not getting the volume that you love to see. The past 4 weeks, he's gotten 20, 18, 13, and 11. So his carries have gone down. And against this great Baltimore run defense, I just don't think he's going to get it done. He had that long run against who they play last week?
Steelers.
He had that long run against the Steelers, and that kind of saved his fantasy performance. But I feel like he's not going to strive against the Baltimore's great run defense.
Well, I wouldn't say it saved his week, because he got it early in the game, and he also had another touchdown later. So I'm a little concerned
He's-
about his touches gradually going down every game. That is something to keep an eye on.
All right, Sparta, who's your first hate?
My first hate is a guy we talked about yesterday on the podcast. A guy that is just not the same player he used to be. It's Zach Ertz, the tight end of the Eagles. You know, like I said, we talked about him yesterday. 5 catches for 10 yards in his last 2 games. A guy you drafted in probably the 4th or 5th round. And he's playing the Baltimore Ravens this week, who have an elite defense. And there's just no way if I have Zach Ertz, I can play him with any confidence. Because he's just old. He's never open. Wentz doesn't throw him the ball. Wentz isn't good himself. And it's just not good.
It's not what you want from Zach Ertz. Not what you want. All right, my first hate of the week is Joe Mixon. He's playing the top defense in the league, the Indianapolis Colts, who are the third best against running backs. Joe Mixon, and I understand the fact that he's got a major increase in targets in his last 2 games, but I just look at the way Kareem Hunt ran the ball. Kareem Hunt and the Browns, who have the best run offense in the league, he had 20 carries for 75 yards. So that's not really a great average. And I don't know if Joe Mixon is going to be able to do much better this week. And I don't expect Mixon to get 20 carries. I mean, Mixon might have like 4. He might be in the 4 catch range. But I think he's going to have a tough time scoring this week. And I think scoring is the only way that he lives up to the expectation this week, or the expectation you have for Joe Mixon. You probably took in the late first, early second round in your fantasy draft.
Yeah, he's had 6 catches in each of the last 2 games. I don't think that's going to happen this week.
Not 6, no.
All right, Svartor, who's your second hate?
My second hate, another running back. It's a guy who's, not going to lie, he's underwhelmed a lot of people this year. It's Clyde Edwards-Helaire of the Kansas City Chiefs. And this week he's going against the Buffalo Bills defense that held Derrick Henry to just 3 yards per carry, 19 carries for 57 yards. Derrick Henry kind of got saved by his 2 touchdowns, but for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it's been a struggle to get into the end zone this week. He hasn't done it since week 1, and I think that's the reason why he's underwhelmed. He's just averaging 15 points per game, and for a guy you drafted in the first round, that is not ideal.
Round.
Yeah, high first round. And last week he was on the field for under 60% of the snaps. A guy who was supposed to be the workhorse for this really potent Chiefs offense. And by the way, there have been a lot of rumors going around. The Kansas City Chiefs were talking to Le'Veon Bell, who just got released by the Jets. So that would be a very, very big predicament for Clyde Edwards-Helaire owners.
Yep. All right, Gags, your second hate?
Tyler Boyd, wide receiver of the Cincinnati Bengals. He's a slot guy, and he's a guy who goes across the middle. And Indianapolis linebackers are pretty tough with Darius Leonard there. So I think he gets shut down, honestly, this week.
I could absolutely see that. Go ahead. Sorry.
He's had his volume with 20, 22, and 16. But got shut down this week for only 8 points. As you're looking for him, you're pretty much using him as a flex option or a low-end receiver too. So I don't think he's in the slot. I don't think he's going to strive as well as this pretty good secondary and linebacking core of the Indianapolis Colts.
Absolutely.
Darius Leonard didn't play last week. I'm not sure what his status is for this game.
Regardless, though, I'm still not expecting Boyd to have a great game. I think Boyd's matchup dependent, and this is not a good matchup. All right. My second hate of the week, guy we talked about earlier, Melvin Gordon at the New England Patriots, who are the 5th team against running backs this year. This is a terrible matchup. Philip Lindsay's back also. Well, first of all, when I say Gordon, I'm going to operate onto the premise that he's going to play this week. So Philip Lindsay is going to make his return this week from his turf toe injury that he suffered in week 1. So along with him and Royce Freeman, this is just going to be a completely mess of a backfield where I just don't think – I think Gordon's a volume running back where he needs a lot of touches to have a productive day and to score. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do either of those things.
Acceptable.
All right. Moving ahead to our third hate, Andrew Sparator.
Well, I guess we named the whole offense, but here it is, Joe Burrow, quarterback of the Bengals. He last week, obviously the first 4 weeks he's played great, but last week he played the Baltimore Ravens, his first real test, and he really struggled. He had 2 turnovers, I believe, in this game.
Stunk the bed.
The Bengals got held to 1 field goal. They didn't even score a touchdown this week. And this week, the matchup doesn't get any better. Like we said, they're playing the Indianapolis Colts, who allow the least amount of fantasy points to quarterbacks this season. So I would not be playing Joe Burrow this week.
Absolutely. Gags, your third and final hate.
Jimmy Garoppolo. We all know how terrible he did against the Dolphins, and whatever Kyle Shanahan said about how his ankle affected it, I don't think your ankle is gonna affect you throwing 20 yards over the receiver. So, the Rams have Jalen Ramsey, and they do not have that good of a wide receiver core. I mean, they have Kittle, which Ramsey might be against probably this week. And we all know he got negative points. And I honestly, for me, I don't think Garoppolo is a good quarterback. I think he's very reliant on George Kittle. And also, they just run the ball down people's throats, the Niners. Some people can disagree with me, but I really don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is a franchise quarterback that the 49ers want.
I do agree with you. Garoppolo is a terrible quarterback. He had one of the worst performances I've ever seen in that game. I've got George Kittle on my team, so I was watching almost every offensive snap that the 49ers had, and Garoppolo was not an NFL quarterback. He couldn't even play for our Calhoun Colts.
Well,
that's how bad. Oh no, I would go there. He was that bad. He was that bad. I mean, and they replaced him with C.J. Beathard in that game, and Beathard stunk up the joint too. So Garoppolo is, oh my God, I can't even put into words how bad he was. It's hard to articulate.
Yeah, he might not even be the starter this week. He got benched in the second half. Like I said yesterday, a quarterback rating of 15.
15. Not good.
They did say he is on track to start, so.
Oh, okay.
All right, my third and final hate of the week. I've got a trio of running backs. I'll round it out with this third guy, David Johnson, who seems to be a mainstay on my hate list, and it's because he just I think David Johnson's a shell of his former self. He only had one big run at the end of the game when the Texans were icing it that really padded his stats. Otherwise, they would not have looked as good as they did. And he gets Tennessee this week, who held Devin Singletary to practically nothing. And TJ Yeldon didn't factor in also. So I just don't see that where David Johnson really factors in. He is, I think, touchdown dependent. And I kind of think it's done for David Johnson as an elite running back or even, a top half of the league guy. He's a part of that group that used to be elite, like Todd Gurley and Le'Veon Bell. They just look slow. They look like shells of their former selves. They don't look like, star running backs anymore. And I just think David Johnson's time as a star in this league is done.
Just remember that David Johnson basically got traded for DeAndre Hopkins. The Texans should be absolutely disgraced.
They were disgraced.
Yeah. Well, it was a fireable offense by Bill O'Brien, and he did pay that price. He did. Got what he deserved. He lost his job.
Well, just one more thing here. You mentioned Todd Gurley as washed up, but he's actually third in the NFL in rushing this season. Now, I will admit he does look a little slow, but I wouldn't say he's completely washed up.
Well, I wouldn't want Todd Gurley on my NFL team if I was choosing.
He did say a shell of their former selves, and I would say Todd Gurley is a shell of his former self.
He only ripped off that. I think he ripped off that 35-yard touchdown run against the Panthers last week. And he's up until last week, we needed 4 catches. He was a non-factor in the passing game. And just when you look at Todd Gurley play, the eye test tells you that he's slow. He's not fast or elusive anymore.
Yeah, I'm not denying that.
All right, that concludes our love-hate for Week 6. And now we move into our last and final segment. It's the bold prediction segment. Each of us will give our bold prediction of the week. Let's start with Vincent Gagliardo. What's your bold prediction of the week?
You know what? Let's give it to Seferitor. I wanna be a nice person. I'm gonna give Seferitor
Right.
the first.
All right, so bold prediction. Here it is. Last week they combined for 2, but this week I'm going to say Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds will combine for a total of 3 touchdowns against the Dallas Cowboys, making them both top 20 options in PPR scoring formats.
Wow, that is a bold prediction given that Drake, who has been terrible, and Edmonds is the second guy in that offense. But I could see that. I mean, it almost happened last week. They each scored, and they get a bad Cowboy defense coming up. So I could definitely see that. All right, Gags, I kind of want to save mine for last because I think it's going to stir a lot of controversy.
Oh boy, am I gonna have to walk out again?
No, you're not going to walk out, but I'm definitely going to hear it from you. And don't worry, I've got a point I'm going to make. All right, so Gags, what's your bold prediction?
I say that Julian Edelman this week goes for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns this week, and comes back from his slumpish performance against.
Do you know who he's playing?
Never Broncos.
Oh, yeah.
And as we know, Gags is a big Patriot fan,
Yeah.
and Cam Newton is going to return this week. It
Cam
looks
Newton's
like,
back, and Stephon Gilmore is returning to practice tomorrow too.
So it seems like things are coming together for the Patriots. So I think I could definitely see that. And here it is, my bold prediction. And here goes. Everyone, I think this week will start Ryan Fitzpatrick based on his performance last week against the San Francisco 49ers and because he's playing the terrible New York Jets. But I am here to tell you that Ryan Fitzpatrick will be a major disappointment and will be a mega dud this week. He will not even be a top 20 quarterback. And here's why. Ryan Fitzpatrick is one of these guys where when you think he's going to do terrible and where you think he's going to have a terrible game, he does the opposite because he's got guts. He's a professional quarterback. He's playing to have fun. But then in these spots where you expect everything from him and you expect him to have this big game and produce, he disappoints. And I just think that this is a big letdown game and a big letdown week for the Miami Dolphins against the Jets. And I don't know, I see this game being somebody winning it like 9-3, or I see maybe the Dolphins with a rushing touchdown, or maybe Fitzpatrick gets a touchdown himself. But I don't see Ryan Fitzpatrick having a big game this week.
I see Ryan Fitzpatrick in the at least top 15. I don't know how you can say not even in the top 20.
It's a bold prediction.
It's the New York Jets.
Andrew Sferator, your thoughts, because Ryan Fitzpatrick was in your love segment.
I mean, you said he's not even going to be a top 20. Let's just start there. There is no way he doesn't throw for at least 1 touchdown in this game. And if he throws for a touchdown, he's basically a guaranteed top 20 quarterback. I'm
not sure about that. I think he's going to need at least 2 and to be a top 20. I mean, this is a passing league.
Think what you want. I'm not going to.
I'm telling you, I just got that feeling. Ryan Fitzpatrick is in a big letdown spot.
I understand your reasoning.
All right, those are our bold predictions for Week 3. It's been a great podcast. It was great to air out those grievances over Tuesday Night Football and Gags' ridiculously bad loss and Andrew Sferator's great win. Until next time, thank you, Gags. Thank you, Andrew. Thomas Walsh, we hope you're back next time.
No, we
Until
don't.
then, until then, see you later.